Welcome back to Kids Ministry Church Online. Thanks for joining us again this week. This is our last week of our DIY series.
Just the series.
Yep.
We'll be here next week, sitting here. We're not leaving this. We live here now. But
we're quarantined.
Yeah, we are quarantined here. But and so this is our last week on that. We talked a lot about forgiveness last week, about forgiving others. That we were called to go do that, and we actually talked about the story of the prodigal son. And what's crazy is a lot of people end that story when the son comes home, right? People realize that the prodigal son leaves, he is silly and wastes all his money, and then he comes back and the father forgives him. But there's a whole other side to that story. There's a whole second half that normally doesn't get talked about. So part. I don't know why I'm doing that too. Part 2, and we're going to be talking about that today and what happens after he gets back. But I actually was thinking last week, I forgave you, Cassie.
You did. That was very sweet.
I did. And you made some amazing cupcakes. And so I actually made you a pretty good pie.
Oh.
And I think it would taste really good. It doesn't look that good, but I think it would. How about I?
Me, right?
Yeah. But how about how are you gonna have a summit?
No. We're gonna cut to worship and Bible story. We'll be right back.
Born into the hands of sin, crippled by the shame within, broken heart and restless soul. I was lost out on the open road, beaten on that bloody day. On his back a world of pain, clinging to that cursed tree. Jesus bled and died for me. Jesus bled and died for me. Victory, victory.
The Bible. It's 66 books of history, stories, letters, and poetry that fit together to form God's one big story. The epic adventure of how He created us and loves us so much that He made a way to rescue us. As we travel through the Bible, from Genesis to Revelation, we discover people who met God and found their lives changed forever. And now for an amazing story, inspired by the book of Luke, chapter 15, verses 21 through 32.
When Jesus wanted to share something important, He often told a story to explain what He meant. Now, one day, the religious leaders were grumbling because Jesus chose to bring in outcasts and people who did things wrong.
He hangs out with sinners and even, eats with them.
Jesus knew their hearts. These men thought they were better than everyone else. So He told them the story of a man and his 2 sons. Now, the youngest son asked for his share of his father's money, and he took off. He spent his money on parties and all other stuff. But then, the money ran out, and he ended up at a miserable job feeding pigs, while he himself starved. Desperate, the young son returned home, planning on begging for mercy and working as a servant. Instead, his father welcomed him with open arms and even planned a party for his lost son in his honor. Ultimately, it seemed like a happy ending. But Jesus wasn't finished with the story yet.
The older son was in the field. When he came near the house, he heard music and dancing.
If Jesus were to tell that story to us today, it might sound something like this. The older brother, let's call him Will. He spent the entire day working hard, perhaps plowing up the packed dirt on a brand new field.
Come on, Bessie. Just one more row. Gotta finish before the light goes.
As the sun slipped behind the hill, Will finished breaking the dirt on his last long row.
I just need some water and a quiet meal and bed.
Will trudged slowly back to the house and left Bessie in the barn with a bag of oats.
If my slacker brother hadn't run off, I wouldn't have to work so hard.
As Will neared the house, he was surprised to see the lights blazing from every window.
What is going on?
Will stopped, trying to make sense of all the activity and the music. Then, the back door opened. One of the servants stepped outside to throw out a bowl of scrap, and she turned to go back inside.
Wait.
The servant paused.
What's happening?
It's just the party for your brother.
The what for my what?
You haven't heard? Your brother showed up this afternoon. Your dad had the fattest calf killed and roasted to celebrate. He is so thankful Jake's safe.
A party? My dad is throwing a party?
I'll let the family know you're back.
What? No. I am not coming in.
The servant wrinkled her nose.
Whew. You want someone to run you a bath first?
Leave me alone.
The servant hurried back inside. Will paced as his exhaustion vanished and anger coursed through his veins.
I work all day. Every day. Has Dad ever thrown a party for me?
Will stalked back and forth, fuming as the back door opened up again. His father hurried out.
Will, here you are.
Well, look at that. You decided to remember I exist.
Your brother is back. He's okay.
Well, that is just fantastic.
We're all celebrating, but it's not complete without you. Come on inside.
Will turned and looked directly at his father, eyes blazing.
All these years, I've worked non-stop for you. I've done every single thing you asked, and you never even given me a goat to have a party with my friends.
You never said you wanted.
This son of yours runs away with your money and wastes it like a fool. Then he shows up and you roast a fatted calf and throw a giant shindig.
Will's father sighed, took a deep breath, and looked Will directly in the face.
My son, you are always with me. Everything I have is yours, but we had to celebrate and be glad.
This brother of yours was dead for all we knew. And now he's alive again. He was lost, and now he is found.
Look, I'm real tired. I plowed the entire north field.
Thank you.
I think I'll just go to bed.
Won't you come into the party? Just for a few minutes.
Will hesitated. He could see the people through the window, dancing, eating, full of joy. The light and the music called them.
Please, Will.
We don't know if the older brother ever listened to his father. We don't know if he ever forgave his younger brother. We don't know if he chose to go and enjoy the party. But what we do know is that if he stayed outside, he missed out on many good things.
Wow, what a good story. That was such a good story.
Yeah.
You know, it was such a good story that it reminds me of a time when I had to give my brother forgiveness. But we have a Bible verse real quick before we get my story. What's our Bible verse today?
Our Bible verse today is Colossians 3:13. If you've memorized it at home, you can go ahead and say it with me. It is, put up with one another, forgive one another if you're holding something against someone. Forgive just as the Lord forgave you.
And it makes me think of a time, and this is a real story, where I had to forgive my brother, but it took time. You see, my brother and I, we were playing with race car tracks, and we were about, I think, 8 or 9. And we were upstairs, and I was playing with him, and there were these old orange, bendy race car tracks, and we got into a fight. He picked one up, and he stared at me, and I was the oldest, right? I'm the older brother here, and he just slaps me across the face with it, in my face, and he immediately realized, oh, I'm in trouble, because I was going to just get him. I was going after him, and so he ran downstairs, and I'm screaming and crying and upset, and I'm mad, and my mom, gets involved, and I had to forgive him, and then suddenly I'm having a hard time seeing out of my eye. And my mom took me to the doctor, and they were like, hey, you have a scratch, like a deep scratch on your eye. And I had to wear an eye patch for 6 months.
Wow.
I looked like a pirate for 6 months in the middle of the summer. And I remember thinking I continually had to forgive my brother because I'd wake up and my eye would itch, and I'd have to and I was frustrated, and I would forgive him consistently over and over. Even when I felt like he deserved to get some payback, I had to forgive him. And actually, it's really random, Cassie, because I wasn't going to this is a really gross pie. I was going to pie you in the face.
Oh.
I was going to get you back because of last week.
Oh.
But I just realized that from that story that I probably shouldn't. And, maybe at home, guys, you're dealing with the same thing, and you're realizing that, your siblings or whatever you think they deserve to be punished, and God calls us still to forgive them. So I'm not going to pie you in this. So I'm going to actually, Kristen, can you come and grab it? We're gonna it's super gross.
You did a really good job there.
It's like
sorry.
What?
No.
That tastes so nasty.
And cut.